The leadership of the Transitional Government of National Unity under President Salva Kiir Mayardit declared national dialogue with the main objective of ensuring that peace return to South Sudan. And currently, the IGAD countries are now calling for revitalization of the peace agreement with the same objective of ensuring that peace is returned to the country. There are two processes, all working together to ensure peace is achieved in this new nation. In today's forum, we'll be looking on the national dialogue and the revitalization forum, where we'll see whether these are the two options that will resolve the conflict the new nation is currently witnessing. And we're joined by the spokesperson of the Splm Io, Agel Machar, who will be telling us what is happening and what is the next move in these two processes towards ensuring peace is achieved. Welcome to Roundtable Show.
Thank you very much, Gore.
Let's start by now getting to know. People are now hearing this revitalization everywhere. You know, we'd like to know, as the spokesperson of the Splm Io, what is the understanding? What is the understanding of the Splm Io towards this revitalization?
The word revitalize is a simple English word. It could also mean resuscitation. It means putting life into something that was struggling to live or to walk. It's to energize the peace process. The peace process has been going on since first Vice President Gerald Taban took over the leadership of the Splm Io in middle of last year after the incidents of J1. And through his partnership with President Salva, they have been implementing the peace agreement.
Yes.
But those incidences have led to few challenges that has faced the agreement. That has now called for IGAD to start this new process to try and put more energy into the peace process. This is something we welcome. It's a very good thing.
Okay.
It is done in the interest of the people of South Sudan to push us toward more peaceful and more stable country. We in the Splm Io, we welcome this process. We are party to it. And when the foreign ministers came here, we were part of the presidency and the part of council of ministers that that met the foreign ministers of IGAD, and we are for this process.
So Splm Io basically support the revitalization.
Definitely, we were one of the initiators. Actually, this process was initiated by Transitional Government of National Unity together with IGAD. Okay. When we realized that the agreement implementation was going on, but there was still pockets of violence in some parts of the country. The permanent ceasefire was not across the country.
Yes.
And so we wanted to sit down and see and give these people a chance who are still creating instability in some small parts of the country. What are their problems? And we are giving them a chance in this forum to tell us what their problem is, and we hear them out. If they are logical and sensible ideas that can bring us peace, we will take them on board and we move forward with the peace implementation.
That means, again, let's get to know now. This revitalization, of course, is going to involve certain group of people, or let me say armed group, who are not part of the peace agreement. You know, because if you've just been critically witnessing what is happening, like the IGAD ministers of foreign affairs were visiting different groups of, of South Sudanese elites. For example, the Lama Calls, the Thomas Cirillo. Let's talk about those who are in Khartoum. There are so many groups now who are not part of the agreement. So with this revitalization, does the Splm Io now currently welcome this initiative that all those other groups which were not part of the peace agreement should be inclusive or should be part of the revitalization?
It depends on the definition. On the 12th of June this year, when the IGAD summit met, and started the initiative of the revitalization, it was supposed to be ARCIS alone. Okay. But the facts on the ground says that if you only deal directly with the signatories to the agreement and leave the rest, we will not achieve the objective for which we went as Chigono to sit with IGAD to initiate the revitalization process. There will be no ceasefire. Okay. But it is not, these people are not new. This is a misconception. Nobody's new. Okay. Dr. Riek Machar is not new to ARCIS. Thomas Cirillo is not new. When peace agreement was signed, he was a part of a group. Lema Call was a signatory. Okay. So nobody is new to ARCIS. They have just decided not to be part of implementation. And this is what we want to ask them. Why are you not part to the implementation anymore? Especially those of Lemakol who are signatories.
Yeah.
He was a minister of agriculture. Nobody dismissed him. He decided to resign by himself.
Yes.
He will tell us at the forum, this is the reason I resigned. And if they're logical, our partners in the region will help us solve this problem. So nobody's new. Thomas Cirillo is IG. He's a general from IG. Victoria, if he wants to get back, we can get back and sit and see how we can handle it as IO. The Politburo can sit and we can handle our issues. Those of Lemakol can sit down with those of Onyoti.
Okay.
And see their political parties group. So the RCS was comprehensive.
So basically, again, it means
the
like...
idea, what I want to take out is that nobody's new,
okay.
and we welcome them. Anybody who has picked up arms need to be consulted and need to be asked so that we can, all of us, move together forward as the people of South Sudan without leaving anybody behind. Because this idea of being exclusive and leaving others behind is not going to bring peace. So everybody must be heard.
So that means now this time around, you people take up this gear with main objective of ensuring that, you know, whether you're in or you're outside the country, let us come down and work together as people of South Sudan to realize peace in the country.
That's right.
Now we are having the national dialogue currently.
Yes.
I mean, could you tell us the differences between the two, the national dialogue and the revitalization, which is
these are two different processes which are meant to achieve the same objective.
Okay.
Whether it is RCS, whether it is revitalization of RCS, whether it is a Arusha agreement,
yes,
whether it is national dialogue, all these are processes and policies of the government to try and arrest the situation and bring peace and tranquility back to the country. Now, the national dialogue
yes,
is a homegrown process.
Okay.
That versus the revitalization, which is a regional process. For somebody like us in the Splm Io, we pay more attention to the homegrown process,
okay,
which is the national dialogue, for many reasons. First, it is us ourselves who know better what our problems are.
Yes.
Nobody else knows it better. Number two, the national dialogue does not so much concentrate about who is the president, vice president, or a minister, but what is the problem of the people of South Sudan on the ground.
Yes.
The youth, the women, people in the villages, the interclanal and intertribal conflicts that are going on that have nothing to do with SPLM or leadership of the country.
Yes.
The cattle raiding, the border issues. The national dialogue is more comprehensive and it is homegrown.
Yes.
And it is only you, the people of South Sudan, that have the interest of your country at heart. Do not expect anybody else to come from outside and solve your problem. Because the IGAD process, the RCS that we are now saying we want to revitalize, was imposed on us, the people of South Sudan, by the region and the international community. We remember Dictoriak and by then the Splm Io had a long list of reservation against the RCS. They did not want it. When we were in Pagak, we refused it. We wrote a list of over 20 reservations. We didn't want this agreement.
Okay.
The same thing, President Salva also refused to sign in Addis. He came here under intense pressure, regional and international pressure. He signed and he submitted reservation.
Yes.
It means that RCS itself, that was brought by the region, was not accepted by the people of South Sudan. And that's the reason why it broke down in 3 months.
So do we
if the people of South Sudan continue to expect that this revitalization of RCS, which is done by the same people that brought RCS, with the same advisors and the same lobbies in Washington and in the region in Addis, would bring us peace, okay, then they will be shocked. But we in the Splm Io, we are not going to stand on the way if that's what everybody wants. First Vice President Taban Dengai and Vice President Wani are serious to make sure that the national dialogue and its recommendation are taken to the logical conclusion. And this is where the solution to our problem will come. Not this elite-oriented approach.
Now,
that the IGAD is
again, there is this scenario. In the peace agreement, when you look at the security arrangement, there is this issue of the two army, which has really brought what took place in J1, where we have two commanders-in-chief.
That's right.
Now, we are going back for revitalization.
That's right.
As the Splm Io, are you people still, you know, holding on to this process of having two armies and all these, or what will happen? What is the new move now that things will be, you know, smoothly moving on?
They have been moving on smoothly since July, and you have heard the day the first Vice President General Taban was sworn in, in J1. he told President Salva on his face, okay? He told him point blank, you are my commander-in-chief.
Okay.
That was on cameras everywhere. When he gave his speech, he said, you are my commander-in-chief. This idea of two armies, when we were negotiating them, Gerald Taban, the first vice president, was the chief negotiator.
Yes.
But his position was different from the position of the chairman by then, Dr. Riek Machar. Actually, it was a divided movement. Gerald Taban was totally against two armies. But he was the chief negotiator on behalf of the party, on behalf of the movement.
Yes.
So he had to go and say what the movement says. He cannot go to Addis and go and speak what is in his mind. He says it in the meeting, at the Politburo meeting. He's then defeated in the Politburo meeting with a few that agreed with him.
Yes.
And he's forced to take the voice of the majority of the leadership to Addis. So he was never for two armies. He even tried to push. I remember in one of the meetings in Pagag where he said, at least let's have two armies only for 3 months.
Okay.
So that as soon as we go, we quickly integrate them so that they come under one, and we try to get them so that we don't have problems. We refused. The leadership refused, led by the faction that was led by the former chairman, Dr. Riek Machar. They went for 30 months. They wanted two armies throughout the interim period. Of course, the agreement pushed it down to 18 months.
Okay.
So we are seeing July crashes. Those who wanted two armies left with their army. And those that were left with the first vice president are those who wanted no two armies. That who believe if President Salva has agreed and signed on the agreement that he wants to make peace with you, that he meant it. That even if you come to Juba single-handedly, that the way we came, he can provide security by himself because he signed onto it.
Yes.
And he wants to make peace for the people of South Sudan. And that's why as soon as first vice president Taban came in, he asked for the national security to protect him. Even as we sit here now, it is not the Splm Io forces that protect the first vice president, Gerald Taban Dengai, since July last year.
Okay.
He is being protected by the national security of South Sudan.
The advice to IGAD towards that currently with the revitalization now?
And that's what we are saying. We have a lot of advices for them.
Okay.
Some of it are through experience, and they have seen it themselves.
Yes.
They have seen the results of two armies when they collided on 8th of July 2016 at the presidential palace. You know, how many people, how many lives were lost within half an hour.
Yes.
So they have seen it. And if they come up with this idea again, then this is what Albert Einstein said, it is madness. Wow. When you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
All right, viewers of SSBC, we'll be going for a short break and pick up from there. Please do stay tuned with us.
What is happening in South Sudan? That we have no peace. Can we really sit and see that we need peace? And peace can come from any corner. The national dialogue can even bring peace.
Let's dialogue, put the issues on the table, including the issue of leadership. Why are you fearing? We are South Sudanese, we belong to South Sudan, and South Sudan belongs to us.
We at our level as a steering committee, we have managed to tell the president what you are saying, that Riek Machar should not be included in the process. No, we have to say no. You are the one to forgive your enemy before the rest forgive their enemy. National dialogue is meant between the enemy and the enemy, not between the friends and the friend.
The problem in South Sudan is that the generals in the army, they are even part of Splm, where you are a leader in Splm and you have your general in the army. This is where we will talk about these issues in the national dialogue, to separate our national army from the politician. So that if you are a politician, you be a politician. If you are a general, you have to be a general, not a general and at the same time a member of Splm.
Welcome back, viewers of SSBC. We are still talking about issues to do with the national dialogue and the revitalization. Two processes, all meant to ensure that peace comes to South Sudan. But how will they work together is what we are looking at currently. Gail, welcome back from that short break. Now that you think that Splm Io are now standing or supports the revitalization process, what is the next move now of mobilizing your masses to ensure that this time around, at least, you know, because people of South Sudan, day and night, they are yearning for peace. Is there hope now, this time around?
There is always hope. Peace is coming. Peace is a process. There is no there is no single bullet. There's no golden bullet for it. There's no single document that we can sign and all of a sudden peace is in the country. Peace is a process, and we are working on it. The things that the revitalization has asked of people, the Splm Io has already done a lot of those things.
Okay.
Ceasefire. President of the Republic, who is the head of the Tigono, has had about 2 or 3 declaration of unilateral ceasefire by himself, which was never accepted by the other parties. And they continue this pocket of violence across. And that's what the IGAD is asking of them. They must have ceasefire, just like we have ceasefire.
Yes.
So that we give ourselves a chance and listen to ourselves, listen to each other, and dialogue. There is no difference between the national dialogue that we are doing and that dialogue they are trying to. This forum shopping, I don't think it is helpful. It will not bring peace faster.
Yes.
Because how many years since January 2014, we are now almost going to 2018. It's going to be 4 years where IGAD has been trying to bring peace to the people of South Sudan. Some of the documents that they have come up with are nowhere near the document Abel Alier has come up with.
Like seeing another transitional period going to take place.
Of course, it is not another transition. It is an extension of current transitional period.
Okay.
Because realistically, the interruption, there's 2 interruptions. First, because of the lack of cooperation between the 2 principals at the beginning in 2015.
Yes.
About 8 months or 9 months were lost before the IO even set foot in Juba. That is already 8 months lost out of 30 months. So there are already 22 months. So realistically, when we arrive here, when the former chairman of Splm Io, Dr. Alier, was sworn in April, already we were late by 8 months.
Yes.
So by that virtue, the agreement itself needed the timeline to be reassessed.
Yes.
Then the interruption of the crisis of July interrupted us further and diverted us from immediate implementation to crisis management, to try and manage the crisis first before we go ahead with implementation. That means more months were lost. So by that virtue, anybody knows that we are going to have a revised timeline of implementation of the peace agreement. Plus the fact that originally 30 months was unrealistic to begin with.
Yes.
Okay, because the things they said we were going to do were very difficult. First, by starting to incorporate the agreement onto the constitution.
Yes.
Was difficult. Then now rewrite the constitution again to have a permanent constitution. Then have census. Okay. Then prepare for elections. And in South Sudan, with the issues of resources,
yes,
those who promised the international community never came forth with their money. So we had a lot of issues with a 30 months timeline. So we will have a more realistic timeline this time through revitalization. That is imminent.
Given that we'll go for another transitional period for that matter, what sort of atmosphere are we hoping, do you hope for that this transitional period should now focus on?
We should focus on, the agreement itself is meant to transition us to a peaceful election, to a free and peaceful election. And people should concentrate very much on such things, to transition the country as quickly as possible. Because some of these big challenges that faces the country cannot be tackled by a transitional government, by a temporary government.
Yes.
We need permanent institution in place. We need permanent constitution in place. We need proper census to know where the people are, where the problems are. We need elections so that people can renew their mandate,
yes,
in their government of their choice. Not only on the president, the governors, the MPs at the national level, the MPs, all the leaders, all the political leadership of the country.
Yes.
So that the people can also speak. They have a chance to say, the current leadership is not doing well. We want this kind of leadership. And the new leadership will have the strong mandate to implement its program freely.
Yes.
Now, the current leadership finds it difficult to go ahead with original program they have because they are in crisis management. They are in transition.
Yes.
So hopefully, as we revise the timeline, we concentrate on the key issues that will allow us to transition quickly to a peaceful and free election. So the sooner we come in, we dialogue, okay, and allow a smooth transition, the sooner we'll give the people of South Sudan a chance to choose the leadership of their choice that will then tackle these major issues like the economic issues,
Yes.
the issue of state building and nation building. You know, these boundary issues that we have, management of resources, the reforms. They need a government. And we have seen in democracies, sometimes when you feel like you don't have enough mandate in the parliament to implement your policies, you call for election. You call it snap elections.
Yes.
To go back to the people, to ask the people. If they give you more mandate and elect more of you, it is a signal to your political opponent that the people have given you more mandate and they should allow you and get out of your way to implement your programs. This is the type of transition we need in South Sudan. That's my hope in as we go.
Like, what could be the new, I mean, in your own opinion, currently as they are going back for this revitalization, are you saying like, or do you hope that these people should now take very strong or tougher measures? For example, some of the opposition to the government, they live in the IGAD countries.
That's right.
So
that's right.
What do you advise now in this time around?
That's what I tell
in
them.
case they are going for this revitalization.
Exactly.
Are you saying like something has to be done, and what is that has to be done to ensure that these people now has to be pressure to ensure that they implement? If they went for the forum and then everything is done, they have to be, something has to be done.
They cannot do that, the IGAD countries cannot do that because that will be against their national interest. You understand? And we cannot force them to go against their national interest. You know, these people are accommodated in very good places. Actually, they don't even want to come to Juba. You know, where they live there is better. Some of them are guests of the state. That is, they are taken care by protocol of the state. You know, and those states their economies are more stable than our economy.
Yes.
So when the state takes care of you, they really take care of you. So we cannot tell Sudan, for example, don't accommodate Dr. Lema Col in Khartoum, or Thomas Rilo in Khartoum, or in Addis, because it is in their national interest, you know, and they want to make sure that these people are imposed on the people of South Sudan, because these people will remember who took care of them during their tough times. So we will have stooges ruling us. And so it is a very mixed. People of South Sudan need to look carefully.
Good points, which the IGAD ministers actually disclosed to the media while they are meeting the transitional government of national unity, as well as meeting other stakeholders like the leadership of the national dialogue. They came up with the clear messages that as they went to consult with those groups, different groups, being in Khartoum, Addis Ababa, Nairobi, and even in South Africa with Dr. Riek Machar, they had like 5 points. One, they said these groups has to be fully supporting the revitalization forum, of which you said the Splm Io and the transitional government do support that.
That's one.
They talked of adhering to the cessation of hostility. They talked of permanent ceasefire. They talked of implementing the peace and then setting up a realistic timeline for the transitional period. These 5 points, Mr. Agel, do you think it's possible? Is it going to work out?
It is possible. Where there is a will, there's a way. And the region is not as bad as it was last year, to be fair to them, when they were putting together ARCES. They have had a change of heart, most of them. Sudan, for example, has realized that it is in its interest and our interest, our mutual interest, not to support each other's rebels. The first vice president has taken on this file very strongly.
Yes.
And he's making it very clear to those rebels from Sudan that we cannot continue to allow them to use our area, and we don't want anybody using South Sudan to attack anybody in the region. We are going to be good neighbors to all our people. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't assist them to reach a peaceful solution in their country.
Yes.
We can assist in them having a proper peace talks that will allow them to go back to Khartoum, okay, and sort out their issues internally as a people of Sudan. They have had a change. The same thing with Khartoum as well. Khartoum is doing its best lately to make sure that hostile groups are not kept in those places. And that's why Dr. Riek Machar is kept in South Africa. And they have already, most of them have accepted these 5 things. They have accepted cessation of hostilities, they have accepted ceasefire, they have accepted the revitalization process, and they have also accepted about discussing the realistic timeline. So the same thing with Ethiopia. Ethiopia has also had a change of heart. Our forces now are in Pagak, which is a border town.
Yes.
That is done in cooperation with Ethiopia. It means that Ethiopia has a change of heart and they want to assist the people of South Sudan become stable.
Yes.
The same thing with Kenya. So they are better this time, and that's why we are more hopeful that they will listen to us more as they revitalize the agreement to help us implement the agreement.
Our viewers of SSBC, that has finally brought us to the end of the roundtable program. And remember, it is always good that we, as South Sudanese, we have to have our own grown solutions to our conflict. And to our leaders, please, this time around, our people of South Sudan need peace. With the revitalization and the national dialogue, let's come together and make sure that we put the interests of our people as first rather than our own interests. And this will lead us to a peaceful South Sudan. And that has finally brought us to the end of the roundtable. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure joining you. And again, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Gori. Thank you.
We hope to see you soon.
Pleasure to always talk to you.